Ready? Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, no, thanks.
Testing.
My apologies.
All right, no problems. Thank you for coming to the Rapid City Area School Board of Education regular meeting. This time we'll have roll call, please.
Troy Carr,
Here.
Jamie Clapham,
Here.
Katie Urban is absent with notice. Donna Moore,
Here.
Walt Swan,
Here.
Angela Rafferty,
Here.
Christine Stephenson,
Here.
Marissa Bonas is absent without notice, and Alina Braun.
Here.
All right, at this time, I'll invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is backwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may remain seated at this time. We're going to have our invocation by Pastor Crum. Thank you for coming, Pastor Crum. You have 1 minute.
Okay. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you in the name of Jesus for this group here tonight, Lord. And as we look and discuss how to do the right things for our kids in this community. And Lord, I just pray for your wisdom over the school board. And Lord, I pray for every student in Rapid City that they would come to know you, Lord Jesus, because you are the author of wisdom. And we need your wisdom today. So, Lord, we ask for your presence to be in this room. And we thank you for being here. And bless this meeting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. All right. We're at proposed agenda. That's not on. The only adjustment to our agenda is we will not have a superintendent report. Where's Dr.? Right, we're not gonna have a report because Dr. Thompson is sick tonight, so we will delete that off the item. Board members, is there anything else on the agenda that needs to be edited? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed agenda, except for item 9.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries. This time, sharing the success.
Board, we've got a few sharing the success tonight, which is a great thing. So we're going to start by talking about the Black Hills Read Writing Contest, which is an annual event that encourages young writers throughout the Black Hills to showcase their creativity and storytelling skills. The contest is an extension of the Young Readers One Book program, which provides every third grader with a book. Third grade writers submit entries based on themes from this year's Young Readers One Book selection, Wings of an Eagle, The Golden Medal Dream of Billy Mills. So of the 170 entries to the writing contest, we've got a bunch of winners here tonight. So they get to join me up here. And as your name's called, then parents, if you want to maybe gravitate, you can, because I assume you're going to want to take a picture. So you can sure do that from around the sides. And I'm going to do my best with everyone's names here tonight for this recognition. Witten Haugen, Valley View Elementary, first place in the short story category. Just come on up. Rosabelle Allender, Black Hawk Elementary, second place in the short story category. Kaylee Hammett, Valley View Elementary, first place in the comic category. Olivia Moody, Grandview Elementary, second place in the comic category. Lucy Lucretia, Grandview Elementary, third place in the comic category. Ramsey Faney, South Canyon Elementary, honorable mention in the comic category. Estelle Lucchesi, Black Hawk Elementary, honorable mention in the comic category. Isabel Reindl, Robbinsdale Elementary, first place in the poetry category. Serenity Bell, Black Hawk Elementary, third place in the poetry category. Kyra Bueller, Robbinsdale Elementary, honorable mention in the poetry category. Eleanor Trescott, Black Hawk Elementary, honorable mention in poetry. So congratulations to each of these students for their hard work. We want to thank the United Way of the Black Hills for organizing the contest. Entries were judged by several volunteers from Edward Jones, Coke Bottling Company, the United Way, and various other Black Hills Reads volunteers. So a final thank you to parents, teachers, and administrators who support each of these students and their peers daily.
Parents, you all can come around. Yeah. Awesome. All right, we'll give a few seconds for pictures and then we'll have comments.
Yep. And then come on over. I don't see Softman. Okay, there we go.
All right, just hold on. More pictures. Bobby, are you taking a group picture? All right. Hold on. All right, hold on just a little bit longer. Hold on. All right, Ms. Stephenson.
Well, I just had a question for the writers. Did you get to choose doing a poem or a story? And what made you choose, I want to hear the poets. What made you choose a poem over a story? You won in poetry.
You won in poetry.
I did a story.
You did.
Well, it must have come across like a
It
poem.
sounded like a poem. Well, I love it that you're doing creative. Is there another poet that can answer?
Did you write a poem?
Yeah, but we did. I don't know.
Oh, I love poetry, so I'm just really impressed anytime a third grader writes poetry. But congratulations to all of you, and I hope you keep writing because it's such a good practice to have.
Okay, Ms. Clapham.
I just wanted to say the same. I'm really proud of you guys. I think sometimes people out in the world tell us kids don't ever write. All they do is they're on computers all the time, and you're proving them wrong. And I'm really proud of you, and it's a great way to express yourself and to be creative. So keep doing it, and congratulations.
All right, Ms. Rafferty.
So I want to start off with a question. Are you guys all third graders? Yeah. And is your passion writing? Yeah. Well, I am really proud of all of you, and keep writing. It's a great tool to have, and just so proud of each one of you with all your hard work. Thank you for coming tonight.
All right, thank you very much. You may go now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Second, sharing the success. The state of South Dakota, Office of the Governor recognizes CTE month. So I'm going to share a few comments from the executive proclamation. And then as I do that, if Ms. Donovan, who's out there, will be coming in shortly, will join me up here. So February The month of February 2026 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the National Association of Career and Technical Education. Whereas CTE offers students the opportunity to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for true career readiness. Whereas CTE provides students with career exploration opportunities early in their educational experience. Whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with careers in critical and growing CTE related fields, which include advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, energy, healthcare, information technology, and transportation. Whereas CTE programs ensure that employers have access to a qualified and thriving workforce, ensuring our nation is a strong and competitive economy. So Governor Roden, Governor of the state of South Dakota, proclaimed February 1 in the month of February 2026 as CTE month. And to elaborate on that, Ms. Bobby Jo Donovan, our CTE Career and College and Career Readiness, CCR manager, is here to highlight a little bit more.
So we do have a couple teachers in attendance. All 45, 50 of them were invited, but you guys know how busy everybody is. So I just want to say that CTE is the coolest teachers ever.
Okay, I was wondering what that said.
So I do have Becky Baker, who is a capstone coordinator at Central High School, and Catherine Kettering, who is a human services teacher at Central High School. So within our district, we highlight out of the 16 career clusters, we try to include at least a little bit of every cluster within all of our courses and our 9 pathways. And so as you should have been seeing highlights on our Facebook page of different pathway spotlights that we've been highlighting over the month of February, and that will continue as we continue to expand all the different CTE programs, and always looking for additional ways to expand the programming and make those college, career, and life decisions, or help students to make those decisions. And then we just had Lance Pearson from Central High School, the Academy Coordinator, also join us. So thank you for your support of career and technical education.
Yep, you get your picture and then any questions or comments from the board.
All right, you all can just stay right there. The board will have comments for you. Mrs. Stephenson.
I have a comment for, all 54 of you, not just the 3 of you. If you could share this message with them. I've been on the board a little while now, and CTE is really important, and we hear a lot and board level, we say, we want kids to graduate from our schools. We want that graduation rate to improve. And we know that it comes down to having programs and pathways for every student to see a successful path. And you're just such a critical part of it. So please know that we appreciate you. We want more of you. And thanks for your work with the district.
All right, anyone else? I'm appreciative that education has gotten to the point where we talk about more than one pathway. When I was graduating from high school, all I was told is you need to go to college, you need to go to college, which I ended up doing. But I always wonder, if I was offered a trade, if I was offered a different path, would I have taken one of those paths? So I appreciate where education has gone, that we're not pigeonholing students into one thing, that we're bright enough to look at different ways to be successful in life. So thank you for spearheading that. All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
So Dr. Strasser and I decided there was enough sharing the success that we should split it, and I'll reuse a bad joke from the past that it's really nice to be on this side of things once in a while, because I'm usually the guy delivering bad news. So always nice to deliver good news, especially the couple that we have here tonight. So first, would like to recognize Miss Crystal Retzel from Blackhawk Student Nutrition, if she could come up. We'd like to recognize Crystal from Blackhawk Student Nutrition for her exceptional response and care during a medical emergency involving a student. While carrying out her daily responsibilities, Crystal quickly noticed that a student was choking and in immediate distress. Without hesitation, she remained calm, assessed the situation, and performed the Heimlich maneuver. Her quick action helped dislodge the obstruction and ensured the student was safe. In moments like these, training matters, but so does instinct, awareness, and a deep sense of responsibility for the well-being of our students. Crystal demonstrated all of these qualities in a high-pressure situation, and her response made a real difference. We are incredibly grateful for Crystal's attentiveness, professionalism, and commitment to student safety. Her actions are a powerful reminder of the vital role our student nutrition staff play each and every day, not only in nourishing students, but in caring for them in every sense of the word. Thank you, Crystal, for stepping up when it mattered most and for the care you show our students every day.
Pictures and after the picture, we'll have again, Ms. Russell. All right, Ms. Russell, just hold on.
You may want to hold.
Yep, hold on. Ms. Clapham.
So I won't say bias, but I get the pleasure and privilege of knowing Miss Crystal on a personal basis. She is with my daughter almost every single day, and Crystal is just the epitome of someone who humbly shines every day. The kids just love her. My daughter came home that day. You won't believe what Miss Crystal did today. And just knowing, we send our children away for 6 or 8 hours a day, and knowing that there are people who will step in and keep our kids safe and protect them is absolutely invaluable. And it makes it much easier to send your kid knowing that people like Miss Crystal are there every day, and we're so appreciative of you. So thank you.
Ms. Crystal, thank you for your hard work and thank you for being in our district.
Thank you so
Proud.
much.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, next we are recognizing School Board Recognition Week, the week of February 16th through the 20th. The Rapid City Area Schools proudly recognize and celebrate School Board Recognition Week from February 16th to 20th. This week provides an opportunity to express our gratitude to the dedicated individuals who serve on our school board, shaping the future of education in our district. Their leadership, vision, and commitment ensure that every student receives a high-quality education in a supportive, forward-thinking environment. Our school board members play a vital role in setting the district's vision and goals through the strategic plan, establishing policies that guide our schools, and overseeing financial stewardship to ensure sustainable growth and success. They continually monitor the district's progress while prioritizing the best interests of our students, staff, and community. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to our board members for their tireless service, advocacy, and leadership, and we encourage our community to take a moment this week to thank our school board members for their outstanding service. Their commitment to public education is a cornerstone of our district's success. I should preface the next paragraph with these are Dr. Thompson's comments, so I'll read them as such. She says, I've only been here a few months, but I am impressed by your passion for education and for doing what is right for our students and staff. Being a school board member can be difficult at times, but you do not shy away from the hard conversations and decisions that need to occur. So thank you for your passion and dedication to RCS. I would reiterate that. I've told you before, board, appreciate everything you do, how conscientious you are as board members, how serious you take your roles. You have no idea the difference that you can make in a district and in all of its operations. So thank you for everything you do, and congrats on the School Board Recognition Week. Would you like to ask yourselves any questions
No,
or reflect on anything before?
just to show you and to demonstrate the humor that is shared with the board. As you can see, the boardroom has been redecorated and adjusted, and we have some beautiful art on the walls. And so all those pictures that were over there were put on this wall behind you, and you can see the current board member photo. And I mentioned to Kathy that the only thing that we need next is for me to have a self-portrait of myself hanging up there so that I can watch myself. So what she did is she put my face on a stick here, and it has some words. It says, "I'm blessed, I'm in charge, I'm worthy, I matter, and I'm a big deal around here." So I can watch myself as we're having our meeting. Oh, yes. There I am. So thank you, Kathy, for all you do for the board. I appreciate that. All right.
Very good.
Board members, any
Thank
other
you, sir.
comments? Sure.
I appreciate the recognition and I appreciate the support. I will say, serving on the board is one of the biggest honors that I've ever had. I love it. I love this district. I appreciate, and actually people will say, boy, that must be hard. You must get the worst of it. And I actually feel like we get a lot of the best of it. And people in this community are really supportive and supportive of us as board members and supportive of the district. So thank you for the recognition, but no,
Well said.
it's the district.
Anybody else would like to talk about yourself? Okay, thank you very much for the recognition. All right, at this time, we have no open forum sheets, which means we have no open forum comments. And we have one school report, Ms. Braun from Stevens.
All right, good evening, board. I have an event-filled report for you all tonight. So this Friday, Student Council is hosting their annual Senior Boys Pageant, Mr. SHS. We are raising money for the Children's Miracle Network, and the winner of Mr. SHS will get a $500 scholarship. I'm very excited to see 8 of my classmates display their talents on stage with acts ranging from playing the cello to a WWE skit. We are all in for a night of fun, and I encourage all of you to come out and support our boys and the Children's Miracle Network at 7 o'clock on Friday. And this week, we are also having a Spirit Week to celebrate Mr. SHS and the PEP Assembly. Our theme days include Meme Day, Spirit Day, Whiteout, and Frat Out. Students are looking forward to the week of fun, and according to a climate and culture survey at Stevens, students like coming to school better when there are events like this at Stevens, so we're trying to include more of those in our day-to-day. And tomorrow, our student musicians are headed to a large group to solo and ensemble contest. Band, orchestra, and choir members have been diligently preparing ensembles and solos to present to the judges, and hundreds of performances will take place tomorrow with students hoping to achieve the coveted superior rating. Students will be performing solos and ensembles and larger ensembles with their whole band or with just like brass and woodwind choirs like I am doing in band. So we're really looking forward to getting to showcase our talent tomorrow. I'm also pleased to report that our Stevens drama was incredibly successful at State One Acts. Their show, Between the Lines, and their ensemble earned a superior rating from the judges. And also, for the first time ever, all principal characters earned a superior rating. We are very proud of our classmates and are eagerly looking forward to their spring musical performance, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This weekend, Stevens students and community members from all around Rapid City are looking forward to the Polar Plunge. Stevens has currently raised the 3rd most money for the Special Olympics, and I, for one, know I am looking forward to jumping into a freezing cold pool on Sunday when it's 35 degrees outside. But it's going to be really fun because it's rock and roll themed, so. And a little curriculum update for you all on some of what we have going on at Stevens. To start off, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors have all received their registration packets. They were all required to watch a video outlining graduation requirements, and their classes for next year are due back next week. Additionally, Stevens added 2 new advanced placement courses, AP Seminar, which will be replacing Advanced English 10, and AP Biology. In my AP Literature class, we are heading into a unit on Hamlet and starting to flesh out our research symposiums, 8 to 10-page research papers on a topic of our choosing. Mrs. Huber's AP Government class is starting to introduce the Judiciary unit, where students will have the chance to argue real Supreme Court cases. Mr. Fierro's English classes have just finished giving their argumentative speeches, the 3rd of 4 speeches they need to give in his class. And in world history, students just finished a project making baseball cards about Galileo. And my staff spotlight for this week is Mr. Joel Palmreuter. Mr. P teaches geometry and algebra 2, and he attended Concordia Irvine College in California. He has been teaching at Stevens for 10 years, and he teaches because he loves math and he enjoys connecting with students. In his free time, Mr. P hangs out with his kid and coaches soccer. Thank you.
All right, again, another very good report. Board members, any questions or comments for Ms. Braun? All right, get off easy tonight, Ms. Braun. Thank you for that report. All right, at this time, Mr. Sassy. And before he goes, board members, I just want to have you recognize that we have 4 reports or presentations, 3 full presentations. I think Mr. Sassy said that his is short. So if at some point we need to take a break, just let me know and we'll take a break. Right? Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So tonight I'm going to yield my time. I'm going to turn over to Mr. Clement, the district's construction and planning manager. He is going to present Chamberlain Architects, and they're going to discuss the Rapid Valley Elementary project and provide some updates for the board. So exciting news. Go ahead, Jade, when you are ready, sir. I should have had something to fill the airtime here. I apologize, board. No pressure, Jade.
Sorry.
That's right. Okay, I've been passed a note from Bobby Schaefbauer to fill this airtime that regarding the new artwork on the wall. We'd like to thanks to funding from the school-based mental health grant, we purchased a buffalo skull, hide, and drums to support culturally responsive spaces across the district. Artwork for all 22 schools was also purchased from Prairie Edge, ensuring students see and experience meaningful Indigenous representation in their schools. We felt these items would also be a valuable addition to the Board of Education group, helping create a more welcoming environment for students, families, and community members. So very, very cool.
All right, thank you.
All right. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. So I know there's a lot on the agenda tonight, so I'll try to be quick. I think we did our best to cram 11 months worth of work in about a 15-minute presentation here. So just to give a quick intro before we start getting into the pretty pictures and designs for Rapid Valley Elementary School, I just wanted to give a brief history of kind of how we got here. So first of all, about March of last year, the district put out a RFP and an RFQ to solicit interest from architects in the area to design the project. So we went through a vetting process on that. We ended up selecting Chamberlain Architects. We have Brad Burns here. He's going to do a lot of the talking here in just a moment. Kind of why we selected Rapid Valley. So Rapid Valley is right in the Valley area, of course, right just south of Valley View. We have 2 schools that are really covering an enormous area. And just to put things into perspective, our entire school district population area is about 417 square miles. Between Rapid Valley and Valley View, they make up 184 of those miles. So we have 2 schools covering a little over 40% of our student population area. Granted, a lot of that area is rural, but still, it's a big area and it's a growing area. And so with not having the ability to build a new school in that area, we had to look at expanding. So Valley View is kind of off the table just because of how the building is designed as it is. But Rapid Valley, when it was built in 1986, I believe, it was designed with an expansion in mind. So here we are 40 years later, ready to expand on that building. Since putting out that RFP, we have gone through the whole process of selecting a construction manager at risk, which we ended up selecting Skull Construction on that. So right now we're in the contract drawing phase. So Brad and his team are working hard to wrap up the last of the contract drawings, and we'll be breaking ground on the project in April. And between now and April, we'll have a fully established GMP for the project, and GMP is a guaranteed maximum price. So Skull is going to establish this project is going to cost this amount, and at that point, we'll be able to move forward. So without further ado, Brad Burns.
What do I do to forward? There you go. Okay. All right, thanks. Yeah, so I'm Brad Burns. I'm the principal architect at Chamberlain Architects. And I just want to say that, I can't say enough about, how great it's been working with Jade and Coy and Kathy and Rhoda on this project. It's not an easy project. It's complicated. But it's it's really going to be a big improvement and hopefully help serve purposes that for additional students and staff. So we don't have very many slides. I just want to kind of touch on the program and how we got here, a little bit about the design. But our two main goals are really our objectives are space and safety and security, and two of things that the school doesn't have a lot of in general. So what we're trying to do here is not only create space for for new students, but also create a more secure environment in both in terms of the site and the building. So we start out with a building that is approximately existing building that's about 40,000 square feet. And we are doing about 25,000 square feet in new, and then renovating the rest at varying degrees of remodel. What you see here is in the gray, this is the existing building, and the orange rectangles up there represent the additions that we're doing. So north is to the right. We've got a small addition off that west wing, and then we've got the majority of our addition to the south. And then we're also relocating the entrance from where it is now. We're also, with regard to the site, we are trying to reduce the playground area. Right now, it's so large and expansive that, once kids get all the way out into that southwest corner, you need binoculars to see them. So we're trying to bring that in. We're reconfiguring the playgrounds a little bit. We're fencing it in with a security fence so that during school hours it's all locked down and secure. So this is more of a close-up of that floor plan. Again, so we've got three different colors here. The salmon color is the addition, and then the blue is some minor remodel. So we're trying to keep as much of the existing configuration, trying to save money by reusing the spaces as well as we can. And the green has a greater level of remodel, where we're actually moving walls, we're reconfiguring spaces, repurposing them. In this case, if you on the far right in the green, that was the gym and a small multi-purpose room. We've essentially consolidated those so that we have a larger multi-purpose room and cafeteria. And then we are also creating some an art room, and we've got a music room there also, doing a little bit with the kitchen. and expanding that just a little bit. And then creating some support spaces for staff. The middle green rectangle, that used to be classrooms. We wanted to move the main entrance. We really need a secure entrance. We need one that you walk into the vestibule after getting buzzed in. That leads you into the reception. The receptionist then, verifies your identity and then can again buzz you through to the school if needed. So that green area is all the administrative area with reception, with offices, principal, vice principal, et cetera, nurses, office. And then on the far left, the large addition, in order to create a more of a better cafeteria and multi-purpose room on the end there. We're building a new gym, and then the large classroom addition there is the 4th and 5th grade wing. So what else do I have about that?
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know what type of kitchen is there now. Anybody educate me? Is it a production kitchen?
No, it's just a warming kitchen.
And it'll stay a warming.
Yes. There was some discussion about whether it was going to be necessary to do a production kitchen here. And with the budget, we just decided that we were just going to make it a better warming kitchen than what it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and I'll show you a little bit about the exterior. So this is what the exterior from the southeast looks like. It's that's the tall gym structure there with architectural precast concrete, and it's got somewhat of an overhang to allow kids to when they walk up to they can, in maybe some rain, they'll gives them a path along the sidewalk that covers them. This is another view. On the right there, you see the entrance canopy. We wanted to create a sense of entry there, identify the main entrance to the school, and put some color into it. The red soffit, that is their school color, red. Their colors are gray and red, so that's why we chose those colors. And then the colorful sort of pickup sticks columns there, they represent their classroom wing colors. So so we wanted to incorporate some of that into it. And I wish Kelly Treble was here. She's my interior designer on this, but she is feverishly working towards getting specifications done for this project. So we've got a couple of weeks here where we're really pressing to get this done because it's such a fast-paced project. This is a typical classroom with cabinetry, carpet type flooring, and combination of a hard and softer surface. Inside rendering of the gym, again using the school colors. View. And then this is the cafeteria or multi-purpose room, again using school colors. And I think that is all I have for slides. What questions do you have for me?
Ms. Clapham?
And I feel like I don't know if my question is a you question or a Jade question.
Okay.
So, yeah, on the, you mentioned the fencing, and I've seen like how kind of the ball would roll away, it would go for miles, the way it is now, and that it was secure during the day. Will there be neighborhood access in off hours, or has that even, have we gotten that far in discussion?
Yes, so there's actually currently 2 playgrounds and there will remain 2 playgrounds. So what we're going to do is the K-2 playground is going to remain closed off from the public. We're going to have, we're going to be spending a little bit more time making sure that we have a better subsurface for those younger kids. So that area is going to be closed off, but we will keep the kind of the bigger playground available to the public. I know that's it's very commonly used as kind of the park of the area. So we wanted to make sure that was available. I will plug in here though, during the summer of 2026, while construction is heavy, the site will not be available. We're going to close off the entire site. There's going to be way too much going on. So summer of 2026, the Rapid Valley playground is not going to be available.
Ms. Rafferty?
Oh,
How many students will it hold?
so we're adding a total of 11 classrooms. I don't know what exactly that comes out to. I might defer to Corey on that one at a later date, but what's going to end up happening is the school population is going to slowly go up over the next couple of years as we shift boundaries and those grandfathered students begin to phase out. We'll have the space to go up to, I think, 850 at the high end. I hope we never hit that point, but we would have the space to go to that point.
Mr. Swan?
Thank you for asking that question, Angela. That was, everything getting new furnishings in there in the entire building, or?
A good chunk of it will, some of it will not. So some of the, just going back to, where is it? That one. So this light blue area, it'll be minimal as far as new furnishings. We're replacing all old broken desks and chairs and things slowly. I know Rhoda's working hard with her staff to begin replacing equipment through our capital outlay process. But we probably will not do a full FF&E package for the entire building. I don't think we're going to have the budget and the time to get it all done.
Okay. What about playground equipment? Is that going to remain the same, or they're going to redo all that too?
So the big kid playground equipment is going to remain mostly the same. I think we're just taking out a couple swings that would end up on the edge of the parking lot or something like that. We're going to be adding a couple things on that side. We're relocating the track as well as moving some of the basketball courts, foursquare, things like that closer to the building itself. And then the K2 playground, it'll be all new.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Stephenson?
So that track will still be there. I mean, it'll be moved, but they'll still have a track.
Correct. And it'll be a little smaller.
Yeah. And the gym, I just want to clarify, the gym, the public can have access to that gym without accessing the rest of the school.
Correct.
Yes, we've got, in fact, we just went through all the door hardware today. So it is all, those hallways are all blocked off from the rest of the building. But they will still have access to the restrooms.
I love that. I love that we can make the school a part of the community and get community members using our buildings. When can we expect to would the board or would redrawing of boundary lines be something that we're discussing and voting on so the public knows?
I think that's coming sooner rather than later.
So just for your awareness, board, where we go from this point as we dive into construction is a lot of those conversations in terms of how do we look at boundaries and be able to utilize the new space and hopefully relieve some of the pressure that those two schools are feeling. It's tricky with that area of the community right now because Number one, those two schools are at a high capacity utilization already. So we have to balance this very careful line of, again, being able to provide relief to Valley View. That was one of the major components of the project, while at the same time anticipating what's coming in that side of the community. You have multiple developments in that area that are still going to be feeding into that school. So we have to put a lot of hard thought into how we phase in those boundary changes and how we phase in those students over time while still leaving room in the building for additional students coming into the area. So that'll really be the hard conversation over the next several months, and then we'll start to bring that information forward, probably in multiple rounds of review for the board, so that you get multiple opportunities to view it and have input. And then as we start to put those in permanent ink, of course, we'll start to roll that out to the community and have conversations and ensure that the community also has the opportunity to give feedback on that. So really, that's where the process will go as construction embarks and as we work through the next couple of years in this project.
And I think this is important too, as we talk about boundaries. The last time we changed boundaries, it was really a surprise to the community. And so what we were trying to communicate is that boundaries are looked at every year with the option of, I mean, I guess technically we could do it every year, but boundaries are looked at on a regular basis. So the community, you're not surprised by a boundary change. We look at them every year. And if it's not necessary, we don't do it. But if it's necessary, then we do it. So.
Yes, sir.
And
And you
one
will have
follow-up.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
You finish that because I'm changing the subject.
No problem. I was going to very quickly say, within the next couple of months, we will have a boundary review on the agenda. Not sure that there will be any action in terms of any boundary changes, but again, just in keeping with that thought of at least having a yearly review, something very quick on the agenda to discuss, and then identify, again, areas where we anticipate boundary changes coming in the future.
My final question, just mostly curiosity, but has your design or materials changed with the wind that we've gotten this winter? Like if we're gonna be getting 80 or 90 mile an hour gusts, I just think about the fence and I think about those the posts. That looked pretty protected, but.
Go ahead. Yeah, I don't have a great answer for you. Everything that we've specified, we have wind, maximum wind that any roof can really handle, which is subject to still getting blown off. But we certainly hope that that's not going to be the case. But that's a very good question. And I think it's something that I will go ahead and take a look at and just see what, based on the wind that we actually did get, make sure that our specifications account for that.
It'd be such a shame to put on a roof
Yeah,
and then have it
right.
blow away.
Yeah, you're right.
Ms. Clapham.
Yes, I had two quick questions. One, verifying, and the HVAC will be fully redone, updated, so all of it in the building will basically.
Yes, and that, in fact, that is the first phase of the project. And when I said this is complicated, my little squares up there make it look pretty simple, but this here, there are 6 colors on here. This is 6 phases of the project. And we're trying to do this with some pre-summer work, some summer work, some school year work, another summer worth of work. And the contractor has been working on the phasing plan to make sure that we can actually get this done in time. So this first summer, that'll be largely dedicated to the mechanical system, to fire sprinkler system, because it doesn't have a fire sprinkler system right now, but we'll be adding that. So we're getting up in the ceilings in the existing building and running all of that stuff in that first summer. And which is the reason for the early procurement package that we had, which was to pre-purchase some, or at least get that bid, the equipment that's a long lead item, so that it's going to be here in time to, you know, to really hit the ground running in the summer.
Awesome. And my one other question, this may be a Dr. Strausser or Ms. Bryan question, not sure. I feel like I recall talking about additional admins based on the fact that an 800 student building would be challenging to run with the admin that's currently there. Is that like something in the process that would occur, or?
Yeah, again, much to looking at boundaries, we're always looking at enrollment changes and the staffing that comes with any enrollment change, and that would include, of course, administrators and support staff, not just teachers, and how we would best do that. The one thing I don't believe is going to happen is it's going to open and we'll have an extra 300 kids right there. So we would have time to adjust according to how the enrollment shifts and how fast it shifts. But yes, we've had some of those conversations already.
All right, Ms. Rafferty.
Are we currently forced transferring students from Rapid Valley to other schools? No.
I don't believe we are forced transferring students that I can recall.
Okay.
Typically, we're allowing requested
Mhm.
transfers
Okay.
as they follow the policy to do so. Yes.
Okay. And then my second question, do we have a set completion date?
So we're looking at fall of 2027. It's too early to nail down a month and definitely too early to nail down a date, but
Okay.
fall of 2027 is what the schedule is showing right now.
Thank you.
And Mr. Sassy.
Just a brief comment, just to wrap this up. I very quickly want to give a shout out to Jade, Kathy, Brad and his team, the Skull folks. I mean, great questions. And just from this little bit of exposure you've had, you can understand how incredibly complex the logistical challenge of this project is, not only from the project itself, but the phasing components, the moving students in and out and around areas. Also, Rhoda and her staff have been awesome to pull off a project like this and do it in a really difficult timeline is a massive lift for everyone involved in this. And so please understand we are planning at every level, every contingency that you could possibly think of. We've discussed it from best case to hopefully worst case, break the glass scenarios. So this is a great team of people. We're super excited for this project, super excited for the opportunity for Rapid Valley, and looking forward to getting into construction and further planning.
Right. I think it's also important to say as we, as the board begins its push and thought in developing a bond referendum, that this is a perfect example. If people ask you, well, what are you doing now? This is what we're doing now. This is with our own money that we've saved and it's part of our, capital outlay plan. Yes, and so this expansion and this school is what are some of the things. It's not the only thing. We've been doing things, but this is, I think, this is a perfect example of what the district is doing with what we have already. So, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Nice meeting you, and thank you for the report.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to have a behavior presentation by Dr. Strausser.
Thank you, board. Want to share some updates that stem from a lot of the conversation we had at at the board retreat in January. And so this is an extension of that, trying to drill down on a few things and respond to some of your questions at that time. And as we do this, Bishop Carr, if it's appropriate to look at number 13, the RCAA programs presentation, if I could just parlay that right to the end of this, because Ms. Canta and Dr. Conroy are at the end of this presentation, if we could just continue that, if that would be okay versus separating it.
I guess I approve. Let's see, I'm worthy. So yes, I approve
Okay.
of that. No problem.
Thank you, President Carr. And tonight I got a great team with us. I wanted to throw an Avengers plug in there. Avengers Assemble. We got a good crew here, and you can see their names here, and they're going to be visiting with you shortly. I'm going to give you a real quick overview and a few touch points as we get into some of our focus on behavior. So as we do this, our student pillar goal stems from the student pillar, is on the left side, and that's where we welcome and acknowledge all kids for their value as an individual in a safe environment where they're educated and prepared with skills to be successful in life. The 4 goals in our pillar are listed. Number 3 is the one that we're focused on tonight, and that's looking at reducing major behavior referrals by at least 5%. So again, these are goals that you saw in January and bringing forward tonight. To take that to another level, if you look at that top box of our goals, so one of the things that we wanted to do was separate out attendance. That was a request, and by doing so, when we say removing attendance referrals, we're talking about skipping and tardies that have moved from minor offenses to major offenses. And so with that, our new numbers are 10,951. So we did that for 2024, 25. And then therefore our goal of a 5% reduction is at 10,404. So those are our new goals. And then the second box shows our current progress. So as of February 11th, when we pulled the numbers, we were at 6412, which puts us on pace for 10,162. So just averaging that out, which means we are on track to meet our goal, which is a good thing right now. Obviously, we have a lot of year to go, so we're going to keep working at this. But right now, that's a good sign. And then I wanted to add in some context for you, because the district has been looking at a cell phone policy and talking about that. So just because we're doing that, I wanted you to know that we have 605 major referrals regarding cell phones, and that's students who have gone through minors and been walk through the steps that we have in our matrix regarding cell phone violations. So that plays into that 6412 number. So just kind of helping you look at what major behavior referrals are, along with an emphasis here from the district.
And those wouldn't have been referrals last year because we didn't have that policy? Or did cell phones get referrals last year too?
They did as well last year, yes. But I did not pull the comparison in.
Dr. Strasser, I don't need a technical number, but the majority of the 605 is coming from what grade level?
It's district-wide. I didn't flesh it out.
Okay.
I would say mostly high school
Yeah.
and then middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a graphic. It's a little different colored than what I showed you in January. But I want to turn your eyes to the behavior piece, which is kind of center right, and then the continuum into the center, and then down to the hardwired. And the actions that we take, which I'll show you on the next slide, stem from what do we learn? What do we explore? How do we put some things in motion? And then we move to implementing and taking that to another level. Do we scale it out? What else can we do with this to decide, is this the right thing for our district? And then we're always looking at how do we hardwire? And hardwiring is the stuff that we do 95% of the time with great fidelity across the district. So again, this shows the whole student pillar, but I want to turn your eyes towards the behavior piece. And then as we move to the action slide, really the four actions to the left, the team is going to start addressing. So I'm going to look at the behavior support, and I want to point out for you that we're really looking at how do we align conscious discipline in our elementaries? How do we look at our PBIS district-wide framework? And one of the actions that we're taking is an MTSS coordinator, and that we're able to pursue filling that position because that position is part of the Stop Violence grant. And so we're actively doing that right now. And then we're continually looking at training for our leaders and our staff around the acronyms RCD, Responsibility Center Discipline, PBIS, Behavior Academies. So when we go through a year, we're continually looking at what are the actions within a short cycle. And at this time, these are the key things that we're focused on and drilling down into at my level. And then you're also going to hear not just my level here, but into our buildings, which is super important. So I'm going to leave this one here. And like, for example, the very bottom says behavior and safety support. It talks about the daily huddle. You've heard me talk about it a little bit before, and Mr. Stewart is going to elaborate on it right now.
Mr. Stewart, before you start, may I make a suggestion to the presenters that at least for the first time, if you would pronunciate these, the acronyms so that the community that's listening to us will know what we're talking about. So thank you very much. And me at sometimes, I forget what all these letters mean. So thank you. So thank you very much.
Get the pleasure to introduce daily huddles to you guys. A little bit more in depth than what Dr. Strasser may have presented to you in the past. Just like any good organization does when they go to conferences, they bring back great practices. They own them themselves. So a daily huddle is something that came out of a conference that several of our leadership went and attended to. And so the thought process is to have very short action cycles, breaking the year down into short periods of time, focusing on specific items that we can impact in some way, shape, or form. So our first, we used our 14 elementaries as our guinea pigs. And
One can hear you. I thought it was on. There we go. Hey.
So we used our elementaries as our guinea pigs on our first short action cycle. It was 43 days long, and we just ended last month. We focused in on just the verbal physical behaviors, that family specifically. One was because that was the greatest number in the elementary: pushing, shoving, scuffling, verbal altercations, things like that. So that was the greatest number within the elementary. So we wanted to take and impact the biggest bang for the buck, so to speak. During this 43 days, some outcomes listed there. One of the greatest things was, we had 15 minutes every day with all 14 buildings to really hone in on conversations around this behavior and how we could, as the adults in these children's lives, impact those behaviors. So extensive collaboration was taking place with all with district leadership, as well as the 14 buildings. 6 buildings saw a reduction over that short action cycle. So almost half of them saw a reduction in their on pace data. So they actually trended downward in this particular behavior area. And then 9% reduction from the same period last year. So if we took the same snapshot of time last year to this year, overall district-wide in the elementaries, we saw a 9% reduction, which exceeds the 5% goal. I understand that that's looking at all behaviors, but that's really encouraging in this that had a big chunk within our elementaries. We also looked at our action plans. Oftentimes with behavior like that was taking place in unstructured areas. So how can we as adults and the supervisory staff impact those unstructured areas to impact and mitigate behaviors such as the verbal, physical? We also looked at a lot of times in those unstructured areas, we ask our classified staff who are oftentimes less trained than our certified staff. So how do we build the capacity within our classified staff that are asked to supervise these unstructured areas and also impact and mitigate that behavior? And then as a data lover myself, I love to see that last bullet there. We got to see data literacy increase in our building administrators. Our administrators are often very articulate in their data with academics, but behavior data is sometimes hard to understand and navigate. And we saw that happen in this 43 days. Now we are in our second round of daily huddles. We've included the rest of the district. The secondaries are in this. So we have a 15 minutes with the elementary, and then immediately following, we have a 15 minutes with our secondary. And we are looking at, instead of looking at verbal, physical, we are looking at disruptive and disrespectful behaviors because at the secondary level, it actually swaps place value. The secondary see much greater numbers in the disrespect and disruptive behaviors. So that is our focus for huddle number 2. And we just finished today. It was day 6 of a 33-day cycle with them, and we'll finish that cycle right before spring break.
Did you switch to disruptive and disrespectful in elementary too?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep. So all 22 buildings are looking at that behavior specifically. If no other questions, I will turn it over to Brandy.
And just to reiterate, so the conversations around data literacy, really bringing in 14 different mentalities of how do I look at this? What am I really looking at? That has been super beneficial. And we've drilled into things that, why don't we know this? Why aren't we responding this way? And those are all really hard, valuable conversations. And I think we're much more aligned now because of it.
Ms. Clapham.
Just kind of speaking, when we think about facilities and equipment, do we see when we talk about the unstructured areas, and is like security cameras or building structure, is that a barrier that we see at all, or?
We do see that at some of our buildings because obviously we don't have an endless pot of money to replace our camera systems, and some of our camera systems are older. Some of our facilities have very, very large playgrounds. Meadowbrook being one of them that has not just old cameras, but also an immense amount of property. So yes, that is playing, but I know we are working in the cycle to get the new cameras and mitigate that as well.
Thank you.
And I think having Mr. Sargent as our safety manager in these meetings, he's hearing directly from principals and having conversations about safety and security every single day. So he's a valuable member of that daily huddle as well.
All right, I'll turn it over to Brandy.
So we've got Brandy Christopher and Luis Ucera from our behavior coaching team to shed some insight on their work and impact.
So I am one of 4 behavior coaches for the district. We have 2 full-time and 2 part-time coaches. We coach teachers in the classroom, and we're doing 6-week coaching cycles. We meet with teachers 3 times a week, once to observe, another time to debrief with them, and then we'd like to do a planning session with them. After we finish a 6-week cycle, then we provide support either like weekly or just do check-ins with the teacher once they complete a 6-week cycle. I think it's important to note that what we're coaching teachers in the classroom is an extension of what the building principal is focusing on in their buildings. So whether it is conscious discipline, responsibility, centered discipline, discovery, PBI, positive behavior intervention.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So this year we have worked so far with 24 teachers. 7 have completed a cycle, a 6-week cycle. There's 13 currently in a cycle right now. And we are going to be starting with 10 new teachers. They'll just be starting a 6-week cycle with us. So we have affected about 1,020 students with the teachers that we have been coaching this year. The team also provides support to building behavior teams. We're currently in 8 buildings. And we also have provided some PD to support staff in the district. I think that's about it.
My name's Luis Schuster. I'm one of the behavior coaches, so thanks for having us. I think it's important to note that our primary focus, a lot of the coaching, and we had to develop a program from scratch. So this is a true program that we want to create a system on. Our focus this year has been the new teachers, new to teaching, and the alt-cert teachers. So those teachers really need the support. And it's really kind of fun because they're so excited to teach, but they don't have the capacity or the tool sets given to them from their college education to handle some of the things going on in classrooms. Our focus really is on culture. It's on relationships. It's on, how do you keep habits, rituals, and routines in the classroom so kids know what's going on, and how do you keep your classroom safe, and how do you help the kids keep the classroom safe so they understand that. So we've developed a coaching system, and this is something the district's been doing the last couple of years, a system that's that one person isn't responsible for, but as we get coaches coming in, as we develop the program, we're in this phase of learning so that coaching becomes part of who we are. And right now we're at the beginning stages. And so this graphic that we put up here shows how we're affecting the student pillar, the community. We really want to get into the community, and we're trying to learn how do we do parent behavior training? How do we provide that as a district, leading that into there so that they can support us, and we're a team, the team working for what's going on. And staff. And we know this, if we don't work with our staff and we don't keep those staff that are struggling with the behavior, that are really good with their content, you're going to hear about content coming up. And if they can't even manage what's going on in their classrooms and they're not regulated, how can they stay, and why would they want to stay? And we want them here. So we want to give them that support, and it's an ongoing support. So that's kind of the graphic. So you can see we're in a lot of learning this year. We're implementing a few things. And then we'd really love to hardwire it so that what happens is it just becomes who we are. So that's kind of what we have. Dr. Strasser?
And to build on what Brandy and Luis have said, we talk about a blueprint, and they've kind of really leaned into what can that look like? How can that kind of pull things together when we talk about all things behavior from training, resources, programming? What can that really be for RCAS? And this is, of course, one piece of that. So really excited for where these things can go and how they can come together.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I asked Mr. Lundin to be part of this. We've had a lot of conversations about the things that he's got going on in his building, and how he's trying to build culture and climate and support a great learning environment for his students, and how that relates to behavior.
Yeah, thank you for the invite and for the opportunity to speak to the board tonight. So at Central High School, I'm in year 3. And when I inherited Central, 2 things happened. Everyone warned me about how difficult it was, and everyone told me about how amazing it was. And we do both of those things at Central. And I do want to share some positives with the board. When we looked at the first semester this year compared to first semester last year, students failed 559 less courses. One of the things that we track is academic improvements. We do that by failure rates. We also track behavior majors. And then we track graduation rates, and that's what we're always after, is the bottom line, making sure that students are graduating on time. So wanted to share that success. This slide started as 25 different things that we've done to establish a safe and positive school culture at Central, and we've tried to just pare this down as much as we can. As you know, we won the National Mascot of the Year. We celebrate all the time. We try to celebrate all wins at Central. 3% of our majors were verbal or physical, and that number would surprise people. Most of our behavior is actually what I call the annoying category. It's not going to class, disrupting class, things like that. It's just stop doing that behavior. So that's what we deal with mostly. We started a see something, say something. I always say that we will be as safe as our students allow us to be. So when our students feel comfortable and have a trusted adult to report things that they're seeing or hearing, a lot of our information comes from our students, and we want to encourage them to do that. This is an anonymous tip line that we started. So there's QR codes around the building. They can send that on their phone, and we get some good information from our kids, or they'll just come tell me directly. Or any of our trusted adults in the building, and we have plenty. Our community partnerships, we've been really having success with them in our freshman academy. So Oyeluta Kolakichie, OLO. They're in our building every single day. So is I Am Legacy, and then West River Mental Health are there 2 days a week. My staff would be mad at me if I didn't acknowledge some of the struggles, though. It's not all rose-colored glasses at Central. We have very difficult things. You don't have to look far in the community to know that our juveniles are involved in some very high level and dangerous things. And high school, or schools in general, are a reflection of the community that we're in. So we are constantly looking for ways to improve the safety and security for both staff and students in the building. You don't want to come to school if you don't feel safe. So we're very interested at Central to continuously improve our support for security, to improve our support for staff, to look at technology advancements to make sure that we're providing a safe and secure environment. So we're very interested in all of those things. And I'm really proud of the work that our teachers have done and our students have done. So once a cobbler.
Always a cobbler.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lundin. And then the last part here, as I mentioned earlier, will kind of parlay into Ms. Canta's conversation around programming at RCAA. So her and Dr. Conroy have been instrumental in the work that happens in the building at large, but also drilling down into programs. So Ms. Canta.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Canta. I am the lead principal at Rapid City Alternative Academy. Similar to Mr. Lundin, I am a year and a half into my position, the current position with the district. And I was also warned and asked, why would you want to go work at the Alternative Academy? You had a great job at Blackhawk Elementary School. And I did have a great job there. But I absolutely love my job. I love the students that I get to advocate for. And so as you can imagine, similar to Mr. Lundin, it's awfully hard to put the everyday work in less than 5 minutes to tell you guys, but we're going to give it a shot here. So currently right now, the direct programs that I oversee are Discovery to Eagles Path, which is our in-person high school program, Discovery to Middle School. It's also known as High School Prep. If you get confused with that, just remember middle school, and Virtual High School. Between our in-person high school and our in-person middle school, we're currently, as of today, serving 207 students in that program. And virtual high school, I believe, was sitting at 83 as of this morning. So we're a little over what we would consider capacity for virtual high school, but we're really just trying to make those opportunities available for as long as we can for students. Since today's focus is on behavior, that fits right into what we do every single day. We are a discovery school. We started that program a year and a half ago. So we have a little bit of data that we can actually start to share now. We are starting to show a decrease in minor and major behaviors. So we are looking at that data that Tom, Mr. Stewart provides to us, and we are comparing it quarter to quarter. So first quarter of last year compared to first quarter of this year for both middle school and high school. So we are showing a decrease with that. We had in our high school program, in-person high school program, we showed a 35% decrease in major referrals for semester 1 and 2, quarter 1 and 2 of last year in comparison to quarter 1 and 2 of this year. We saw a 61, almost 62% decrease in our minor behavior for in-person high school. Our in-person middle school programs also showed a decrease. In our major referrals, same time frame, first half of the year compared to last year, compared to first half of the year this year, we saw a 13% decrease in major referrals and a 55, almost 56% decrease in minor referrals. So in 1 year, we are showing that we are decreasing those referrals. We are similar in our data of Central High School. One of our lowest infraction areas is verbal and physical altercations, which is promising. One of our highest areas are in that disrespect, disobedience area, and we're seeing that across both high school and middle school programs. Definitely an increase in our middle school with that disrespect and disobedience, almost by 35% higher than our high school. So I could talk about Discovery and all the amazing things that we do all night long, but I'm sure you guys want to go home. One of the most fascinating and just heartwarming things that we are hearing on a pretty regular basis is when students reach that completion of that Discovery course, all our in-person students start with Discovery. It's how we teach, explicitly teach students how to join a positive school culture. So when they talk about, I now know how to solve my conflict, I now have a 5-step system for problem solving. Kanta, where are you on the anger management skill? Or how's your PMA? PMA means positive mental attitude. I love that students are holding staff accountable and that staff are holding staff accountable. And when we hear, I'm going to invite you to all 3 of my weddings. Or you are going to be invited to my next birthday party if they're in middle school. Or Mr. Morton is one of my favorite teachers. I'm so sad I'm no longer a part of his Discovery cohort. Or why can't we be scheduled together as a cohort? Why do you have to split us up? Those are great comments and questions that students are asking. So very quickly, last year, we realized we needed more of a student voice, right? Students want to be heard. So we put some things into play this year. We have a unofficial student council. They meet on every Tuesday for 30 minutes. And they talk about all kinds of things. As you can imagine, they're high school students. We started a hand games team this year. We started a beading team. We have open gym every Tuesday. We have volleyball club, game club, movie club. If a student has made a suggestion, we have tried to make it work. That's just kind of where we're at. We started senior breakfast. We tried to do it once a quarter. Quarter 2 was not successful, but we did do another one. So seniors were telling us we want more school spirit. We want to get together more. Something that fit in my budget was muffins and donuts. And so we have a senior breakfast. For those students that come a little later, maybe they don't need to have a first hour or need a first hour, we save them breakfast for them because we want them to feel included. So student voice was right away one of the things that was so important to them that we were missing. So we have worked hard to incorporate that. We also were able to get 2 partnerships going this year. I Am Legacy is coming pretty much every Friday. We opened up a larger space for them just recently and it worked very, very well. Great positive conversations happening with students. We also have West River Mental Health. So that is getting started as well. They actually come this Thursday and meet with my staff. We already have a list of students that we're referring for that part. And then when it comes down to the academics, right? High school students need to complete courses to get to graduation. That is our whole goal. We are having about a 65% passing rate when we look at ELA and math. So what that tells me is we need to get higher than that. We need to be at about an 80 to 90% passing rate. So what that tells us is we need more interventions. Our kids are coming to us with lagging skills, whether it's the soft skills that we are covering in Discovery, or it's the academic skill gaps. Math and English, of course, go into so many different content areas. And when they come to us and they are still working at a third grade mathematical level, we have a huge challenge to try to get them higher than that. We have a huge spread of academic needs. Of course, I'm talking about those students that need that academic gap interventions. However, we have some very high achieving academic students as well. They're coming to get ahead on credits, or they're coming. We have a young lady that's getting ready to go play softball, a D1 softball player. So her whole goal is to get graduated because she has some major plans going on for herself. So we really see students across the entire spectrum. We feed into, or excuse us, we are feeder schools. Central, Stevens, Central is our largest high school feeder. And then of course we have all 5 feeder middle schools. And so we work hard to bring those students in, and we are once you come to Rapid City Academy, you're home. We're gonna try to take care of you. Whatever has happened at Stevens, Central, East, North, whatever school, that stays there, and we start fresh here. With our circling all the way back with that behavioral data that I talked about at the beginning, that decrease that we are starting to see, we are looking at their behavior from the time they start with us. We really try very hard that it's a fresh start. You're telling us in your student interview that you want a fresh start, you want something different. And so we really are looking at that from all different facets. Virtual high school is another program within itself. So that program currently right now has 83 students, like I talked about. That is a fully online program. So we don't physically see those students very often. There's a lot, it's very time consuming, a lot of communication via Edgenuity and email. Some of the blessings and the curse, if you will, is it's highly flexible, it's highly independent. However, we also know that we have some high school students that are not fully capable of highly independent work on their own. And so that back and forth is definitely time consuming. We are currently, if a student is failing more than 50% of their online classes, we bring them back. We require them to come in. I have a credit recovery. We call it Eagle's Nest at Rapid City Academy. We bring them back and they're required to come back in person. And the reason why we do that is we do not want kids to continue to fail. We're trying to at least slow down that process, maybe help them, maybe it's organization, maybe it's content driven, whichever that issue is. So Q4 will be starting here very soon for us. March 11th is that date. And so we will be adding in several virtual high school students that have been failing Q3. So on average, every quarter's been a little bit different, but we're sitting about a 35% not success rate. And so we're trying to flip that for them. So that is those 3 programs very quickly. Do you have any questions specific to me?
Pam.
So I'm sorry, I don't really, I guess this is not, say it's something I'm probably ignorant of. So how do we, is it targeted reach to students? Cause I feel like I hear families and this is anecdotal, but say like, my kid's just really struggling. I don't know, is there like, so is it only targeted reach we do to students that are already struggling? Like, how does the district outside of RCAA like know what exists there and what the opportunities are?
So I don't know if I completely understand your question. Are you asking more about the referral process?
Yes.
Okay, so when I came on board, Rapid City Alternative Academy was strictly a referral-based program. So you had to have the referral from, let's just say, Central and Stevens, since that's the biggest program. So we had to wait essentially for those referrals to be completed by either the counselor, the admin, whoever that person looked like. As you can imagine, we're all busy, right? And so you can get backlogged very quickly with that. This year, we do still accept those referrals. We also added in our high school, we we tried it. It's a parent interest or student interest form. They can go right on our RCAA banner and hit student interest, and it can come directly to us now. So we can get student applications either through the schools themselves or by parent interest, and then we just merge them together. One of the hiccups that I hear on a pretty regular basis is I've been told my student can't get in because they're on an IEP, and that's not necessarily true. We do have to, just like any other school, have to monitor numbers and make sure we can provide those services to students, but that's not necessarily true. Did that answer your question, Ms. Clappen?
Yes, that did answer.
Ms. Cantor, I heard you say unofficial student council. What's the difference?
Well, I don't really know, to be quite honest. We do not have, they don't have a budget established yet. We don't have official officers. It really is just if you want to come and contribute and have your voice heard. They wanted to call it student council, so we are calling it student council.
And so my understanding is that the significant decrease is because all students enter in the Discovery program. So once you graduate from the Discovery program, then what happens?
So then they go into, at the high school level, then they go into a 5-block period day. So we're on a quarter system, we're on an 84-minute block, and then a 30-minute advisory if you're doing the math. So they're taking 4 content classes, math, science, whatever that looks like, and then we have a 30-minute built-in advisory program that they also attend to. So they go from 2 teachers in Discovery teacher in their communications, we link those 2 together, and then they go into 5 teachers from there. So really trying to slow down that progression. One of the things we hear from students is, that there's too many classes, too many teachers at Central and Stevens. And I'm not trying to pick on them. That's just what I hear quite a bit. And so we're trying to condense that, kind of chunk that for them. We still hear on a pretty regular basis, I wish I could just be in one classroom again. I wish I could just go back to Discover again. Well, at some point we have to help you navigate on. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm appreciative of the numbers and the decrease, the direction that it's going. So, board members, any other questions, comments from Ms. Cantor? All right, thank you very much.
If I could turn your attention to, you were given a handout that's titled Alternative Programming. That is basically a summary overview of the vast majority of what you heard tonight. So that when you have questions about what do things mean, there are definitions on the next 2 pages. It includes a lot of what Dr. Conroy does, and in the whole context of all the programming at RCAA. So I wanted to give you, what does RCD stand for, as well as what does it really mean? So hopefully this can provide a little more clarity, and then if it raises other questions, we can always come back to that at another time. So with that, I'd like to thank the team and
I do have a question about PBIS, CD, RCD. What are those all like on the outer to inward, hardwired? I think I saw PBIS in kind of the middle and conscious discipline. Do they overlap each other at all, or are they all in separate lanes?
to an extent, I think you try to hit a lot of skills, and you try to find a lot of ways to help people connect with kids and have success with both classroom management and relationship building and environment building. So all those play into it. We are more well-versed in the PBIS framework that's been around the district for a very long time. The questions we ask would be, how well are we doing it? Is it really hardwired? Or are we good over here, but not over here?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with conscious discipline. Those are the 2 long-standing pieces that I think we moved into that implementation because we weren't confident that it was really hardwired. And that's what we talk about and try to figure out how do we do this better so that it is we can move it to a hardwired status. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that are you worried about getting diluted? Like maybe we should just have everybody be a rock star at conscious discipline or?
No, because we're working with multiple levels and you'll hear that conscious discipline works really well over here, say at the elementary, and RCD works better,
Responsibility.
in the secondary. So it's developmental too. And how do you meet the developmental needs of kids?
Okay, thanks.
All right. Why don't we take my apologies. I think we have one more presentation. Am I correct? All right. My apologies to Ms. Keegan and Ms. Farmer. We're gonna be delayed just a little bit, but let's take a 3-minute break and then we'll rejoin. Thank you, everyone. Mike's alive.
You should have told that. No, I'm saying, turn it off.
You guys have my face on a stick someday soon.
You know what? I don't know about
And
your
the ice balls.
All right, everyone, thank you for that break. We'll get started with our next presentation.
Right. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to share the approved ELA instructional materials scheduled for implementation in August 2026. The JK-12 ELA adoption process began last fall as the committees continue to finalize key components to ensure a successful rollout. 3 separate committees were formed: JK through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. Each committee included representation from all grade levels within the band, as well as role-specific members unique to each level. For example, literacy specialists and interventionists at the elementary level. Although facilitated by the TLI department, the recommendation was made by our committee members. On January 27th, Instructional Council voted to approve the materials recommended by the committees. All Tier 1 selected resources are Savvis products. 3 cheers for junior kindergarten, MyView Literacy for grades K through 5, and My Perspectives for grades 6 through 12. Although each committee worked independently and was not aware of the selections made by the other grade bands, the outcome reflects strong coherence across the JK-12 continuum. Utilizing aligned resources from the same publisher provides consistency in instructional design, routines, and academic language, creating a more seamless experience for both students and staff. This coherence will strengthen the vertical alignment, support smoother transitions between grade levels, and positively impact student learning by building skills systematically from early literacy through high school. This evening, you get to hear from members of each committee as they provide a high-level overview of the newly approved instructional materials. I would like to introduce the committee members joining us this evening. Representing the JK-5 committee are Grace Chiak, junior kindergarten teacher at Meadowbrook, and Katie Swank, our 5th grade teacher at Meadowbrook, and recently named Rapid City Area Schools Teacher of the Year. Representing our 6-8 committee is Madison Cohen, 8th grade ELA teacher at East Middle, and Rebecca Johnson, 7th grade teacher at East Middle School. Finally, representing our 9-12 committee is Diane Wimp, 9th grade ELA teacher at Central High School. Each committee developed a purpose statement to guide its work throughout the adoption process. The science of reading and structured literacy served as the foundation of our efforts, building upon the AIM training that our teachers completed last year. In evaluating instructional materials, the JK-5 committee consistently applied a clear lens. Select a resource that fully encompasses the 5 essential components of literacy: phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension, while supporting a vertically aligned, integrated approach grounded in research-based practices. Now you get to hear from our teachers who are going to share specific information about the selected materials.
Hello, everyone. I'm Grace Chiak. I teach junior kindergarten at Meadowbrook. I did bring some things to show you too, so this will be really fun. So a couple of the strengths that I saw, there are 4 schools that are doing junior kindergarten. I was the only one that piloted, but I was able to send my materials to the other 3 teachers to try out some lessons, which was really awesome that they got to kind of be part of this as well. Even though they weren't on the committee, they still got to kind of get a taste of 3 Cheers, which was awesome. So some strengths that we saw that 3 Cheers has, it has a great combination of fiction and nonfiction text. So as we were reading through, each theme has at least one fiction story that the students read. Well, I'm trying to show and be loud at the same time. A fiction text to help grow that love of reading and build some listening comprehension skills, as well as nonfiction text so that students can build some knowledge and that we can practice some vocabulary skills and learn about real things. We use conscious discipline as our social emotional. We use the feeling buddies, and district-wide we use conscious discipline. One thing that we found with Savvis is that it tied along really well with what we're already using, which we thought was awesome. So There's social emotional cards that are super helpful that give explicit instruction to students about different social skills that they can be practicing, along with adding little social emotional kind of highlights or shout outs throughout the teacher's manual. So there'd be over in the columns, over on the side, it would say, during snack time, talk about what students are proud of about something that they're doing, or talk about how when we're opening snack that they are so proud of themselves for opening their snack. So there were little shout outs too, which a lot of us teachers do naturally, but when we're trying to bring more teachers in and giving some of that scripting and giving some of that language can help teachers feel some of that, just some of that success. So there's a main theme each unit. For each theme, there's one story that we read 4 different times once a week. So there's a big book that goes along with 6 small books that you can either use for a small group, or I put my little small books that were the same as the big book in my class library. So we read The Lion and the Mouse. I had the big book that I read aloud to the class, and then I put 6 of these copies just in our class library, and I didn't say anything to the students. And when they went over for some of their free reading time, they were like, Miss Chiok, that is the book that you were just reading. And they were so engaged and so excited. So it was super fun to see them really, really excited about reading. And even though they weren't reading the words, they were kind of going through, and then they were like, and then the mouse reached up to grab the cherry. So it was really fun to see them starting to do some of that storytelling. There's lots of opportunities to move and play, which we know for our youngest learners and all learners is really important. And also at the back of every theme, there is a spot called Synergize. So in the back of each teacher's manual, this is a way that you can kind of spice up your centers. It gives ideas for things that you're already doing, ways that you can just make it more engaging for students. So instead of teachers having to go to other resources to find that, we have wonderful resources right here to do that. Some of the potential drawbacks that we saw, it kind of lacks decodables, especially for the 3 cheers portion. Most of the students are just kind of working on concepts of print. So a decodable text is a text that you can sound out all of the words or most of the words. So it kind of was lacking that. It had texts that were more patterned text. So we see the dog, we see the cat, we see the monkey. So the kids are kind of reading more of the pages and working on more of those print concepts versus actually reading. So there's still value in that, but we know with new science of reading research that's coming out that we want to be having kids reading as much as possible. Progress monitoring is a little bit faster than our early childhood guidelines that we do use, so there might be some modifications needed there. And during the pilot, I didn't get to use the digital platform as much as I was hoping to, but it is an option for teachers that are wanting to use it.
I'm going to jump in. I'm also from Meadowbrook. I teach 5th grade, and Grace was my mentee 2 years ago when she first started teaching, and she's amazing. So I'm so glad that she was able to do this pilot with us. I piloted the 5th grade Savvis My View. So our team did such a great job of talking through all of those benefits that the resource has. The tech integration in the tools was pretty incredible. I asked my students to give me feedback a lot, and they were like, this is so easy to use. The Savvis, they were able to see what their assignments were. They were able to log in and navigate very easily, as well as for the teachers. I felt like it was a really great platform to use. Another highlight was the differentiation built into it. So something that is a challenge for teachers a lot of times is to, okay, I'm going to teach this lesson, but how do I differentiate it for my students that are reading up here and my students that are really just starting to figure out the code? And they build that in. There's tons of different resources, from decodable text to smaller books at a lower level, to get students excited about the content, because it all kind of aligns. There's some really great online writing tools. There's in K1, there's handwriting formation. So there's some really explicit teaching in handwriting, which was something that we've kind of been missing the last few years. And there's even cursive in grades 2 and 3, which we know is part of our standards, and we want to make sure that we're getting that in. So Right? I still teach it in fifth grade and my students are like, why do we need to know this? I'm like, there's so many important things, like just being able to read cursive, like you have to know. So, and then I tell them, I go, and if you ever want to like have important things in life, you need to be able to sign your name correctly. So, Savvis, one of the biggest things was the cross-curricular connections. The units were incredible. We got to do like a deep dive into some really unique science topics from like, how researchers think, and then also get into reading portions of Hatchet, which is like an adventure, like in the nature kind of book, which kids were so excited. And it really just energizes them to then go out and read more books of those kinds of genres and apply it in so many different ways. So those are tons of strengths, like highly vetted from our team, and we just had a great time teaching that. Some of the drawbacks that kind of came out of this for K-5, one of the big things that we look for in the science of reading is being able to have a phonemic awareness, that's the PA, and a phonics screener. Right now we use, like teachers will use a variety of them, they're available, but having something consistent district-wide is something that we were really looking for, but they did not have it. It will be maybe considered in part of the purchase, so. And then the biggest drawback was this idea of K2 phonics lacking some explicit instruction. And then we did have a publisher-led training February 10th, and Grace attended that for the K2 to represent it and found a lot of great stuff as far as like spiraling. So like when we teach a piloted unit, it's just one unit. So we don't really see how, and you piloted unit 2. So we didn't see what unit 1 had. We couldn't like anticipate that. And so there was a lot of questions around that. But once they sat down and started like highlighting through, okay, this skill is here, this skill is here, Savvis does this amazing thing where they kind of spiral back around to the concepts. So it might be introduced here, but we're going to keep hitting this over and over again until you get it. And I actually think that supports brain research and how we actually learn. We don't just learn in these big chunks. We have to be constantly exposed to it in lots of different ways. So I love that. I'm super excited. I think that staff are just excited to jump in. And then one of the other pieces was the K2 texts were just a bit too long. They are heavier, sometimes like more of a meatier text. But we discussed ways of like, how do we break that down into pieces for students? I mean, that is a great strategy for anybody to know if something looks too long for you, like how do we, break it into pieces? So those are the thoughts for K-5.
Questions?
Oh, you also do you want to do questions for K-5 and then, is that, okay, yeah. Did you want to?
My question is about K-5,
Okay.
just that it seems like the K2 phonics instruction, when I read that, I was like, ooh, that seems like a big drawback. So are you saying that like that was a concern, but then you had this training and it's no longer a concern? Like it's just not a concern. You have confidence that
I was at this training and it was wonderful to have someone from Savvis come in. We got all of the scope and sequences for kindergarten, first grade and second grade. So even though I don't teach second grade or kindergarten or first grade right now, all of us looked at those pieces. And so like I went through and we were like, highlight every time it says syllables. So then in orange, we went through, okay, here it is in unit 1, here it is in unit 2 in week 3. Okay, here it is in this unit, here it is in that unit. When the traditional, what we've kind of done in the past is, okay, teach the letter A, get really good at the letter A and move on and never talk about it again. Oh, and so Savvis does a really great job of coming back to that. And I think that when we just kind of got that snippet of one 4-week pilot, it was hard to see, wait, we've got some big holes here. We didn't get the whole picture. And so once we were able to sit down for a whole day with the Savvis rep, all K1 and 2 together, it was wonderful to be able to just lay everything out and say, okay, when does this come in again? How can we make sure that we're practicing enough? Are there things that need to be reinforced in other areas? So it was really great to be able to sit down and to do that work.
And then does the curriculum come with training? Is it a train the trainer model? How's that going?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that was one of my biggest things was like, how are we going to make sure that teachers are trained? So we've just been talking about this. You guys are going to kind of talk about this too. Okay. But is just really getting in and getting teachers excited about the curriculum, getting them trained. However, I think that one of the biggest things that's going to continue on is the last 2 years, the AIM training that everybody's been doing in teaching science of reading. Teachers are going to be able to take that and bring it into this new curriculum in so many ways. I mean, it's just like, once you have that knowledge, you can look at resources and say, okay, this is how I might change these things up. This is how I might adjust. And so it's that giving that teacher that autonomy to be able to take what they know about teaching reading and put it into a resource. And the resource has amazing pieces that they can like pull from. So they're not having to go outside of the school, or teachers pay teachers to like get all of those things. So that's kind of the hope. And then, I mean, new teachers will be continually trained with AIM and from there. So yes.
Yeah, so for the PD, we're gonna, on March PD Day, we're gonna bring in, I think it's nine different trainers for training rooms. So we are gonna have 2 one for then 1st through 5th. Then admin will have their own trainer so that we can train admin on what it looks like when you go in and what this lesson design looks like. We're going to train all of our intervention and learning center SPED teachers on how to use this as a tier 2 resource to support students in their core instruction in their classroom. So it's going to be a real heavy hitter. We're going to be using the monument because it's about 400 teachers that will be training at that event. So it's really, we know that there's a lot of excitement about having this new resource. So we wanted to get training. No one wants to be trained on a new resource you're going to use in 5 days at the start of school. That creates so much anxiety for me as a teacher. So our committee made the determination that we wanted to train our teachers this year in how to use the resource. And then when they can have their first unit to take home, to work with, to look at over the summer if they so choose. But then they've seen it before coming back to school. We're also going to have at back to school, they're going to have another training on Unit 1 specifically, so then they can dive into Unit 1 and do some collaborative planning. But along with that, anytime we bring in new standards, anytime we bring in a change of a resource, that brings other things with it, right? The domino effect. So we're going to be also, the committee is now going to spend the rest of their spring working on the JK through 5 assessment and reporting guides, which our teachers, and the pacing guides, which our teachers use heavily. And then also looking into the JK through 5 report card. With the change of standards, we need to change what we're assessing students on and giving feedback on. So we're going to make some adjustments on that based on the recommendation of this committee who's dug into those standards and dug into what the resource has to assess those standards. So that is their future work.
Ms. Rafferty.
All that sounds just wonderful. You answered some of my questions about the instruction. When you're training the teachers, are you training them by grade level?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Each grade level has their own room except for kindergarten, because a lot of we're training the teachers at the lowest grade that they teach. So an example would be if I am a behavior skills SPED teacher and I teach maybe K through 2, I need to be trained on kindergarten. If I'm a structured academics teacher and I teach K through 5, I have to be trained in kindergarten.
Right.
So we train them at the lowest level. So we have a lot of kindergarten. So we broke that group up into 2 groups.
I think it's a celebration to see that they have handwriting formation in K1 and cursive in 2nd and 3rd. And all the years I've been in the district, we never had that. So we had to create our own little handwriting booklets and send them to print. And I think this is wonderful. So one of the drawbacks you said were the PA and the phonics screeners. Have you guys seen those? Are they worth purchasing? Were you actually able to use them on students?
See how she just leaves? So it's not something that they'll allow you to pilot, but we have a handout on it and then we're going to bring it into the committee for them to look at. And it's just, right now it's part of the consideration, but the committee knows about it. It was part of our tool 2 review when we talked about what we wanted a PA and phonics screener. And so it was listed in the tool 2. So the committee knows about what momentum is what it's called, what it is. And we have a little handout that they shared with us, but we cannot pilot it because of the data collection part. So they don't allow you to pilot, but we'll get some more information on it.
Well, I think that all this information is really exciting, and I can't wait for the next phase, for instructional council to hear about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just had another question. Sorry, you're not done yet. I think I remember when Discovery is it Discovery? That's not Discovery, the current
Mistress.
Wonders,
Oh.
when Wonders.
Yeah.
There was talk about the teacher's ability to kind of monitor where each kid is at on the online and kind of like give students what they need at whatever point. Is that a feature of this as well? I want teachers' jobs to be easier. Can you speak to that?
Yes, one of the drawbacks for Wonders was that they had these like little pieces, but it was kind of difficult to collect information. And every week they had one really long test, and the kids were just so, like, they worked so hard on this test. And then sometimes it would be like, they did not do well. And it was so hard, like sometimes the things did not align. In Savvis, in the MyView, everything is so aligned and so put together. When we had Wonders, it was put together to be a balanced literacy resource where it was not originally planned that way. So it was very pieced together. And Savvis is so connected, and everything connects to it. The biggest thing I loved, and I was just reviewing some informational writing my students just finished, and it was from when I piloted the Savvis, and we were going back over, and their writing ability from the first piece that they did at the beginning of the year to this second piece that they did in like November, December was incredible. And it was because as I was teaching reading, we were talking about what good authors do in their stories or in their essays, and then they were able to immediately apply it. So a lot of those pieces, that's going to make life so much easier for teachers to just be able to see those connections. And the quizzes and the assessments, they spiral around. They're really easy to grade. Kids get immediate feedback online, like, oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And so like that, those things are all so built in, and it's great. So.
Anything else? K5. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rebecca Johnson. I am a seventh grade teacher over at East. So we also created our purpose statement for our committee. I won't read it all to you word for word, just point out a few of the big concepts that we talked about. And that was selecting an instructional material that aligned to our instructional goals, our state standards, and the diverse needs of our learners. We wanted to look at rigorous materials that help develop literacy and the critical thinking skills to empower our students to become confident readers and writers. So we also chose to go with Savvis, and our program is called Savvis My Perspectives. It is research-based instruction. It provides that consistency, the connections. I will add on, it also does that spiral sort of learning through all of our thematic units. It is empowering and engaging. The students loved using it. That was probably one of the things that I heard the most after piloting Savvis, is that a lot of the stories were very engaging. They liked the activities that went along with it. It is a blended learning, so it has that online portion, that LMS. It includes consumables, so our students will get a textbook for the year that they can write in, they can highlight in, make those annotations. We will be given novels, and there's also an interactive writing program within the online platform. So we saw quite a bit of strengths with this resource. So the organizing of the units and the pacing was something that we really liked. There are 5 thematic units within the program. Pacing wise, we can fit 2 block schedule or 4 45-minute class periods. And it is each lesson. Each story is catered to fit with those. They have a special Hook and Inspire on their online platform for teachers to look at that provides different videos and handouts, other stories that can help hook and inspire students to get engaged into the reading and provide a little bit of that background knowledge that helps scaffold the stories, the content of the stories for the students. Savvy Writer was a big strength that we found. So that was the online writing platform. Students could go in. They are given 4 different steps for their writing process. It also offers an AI feedback option. So this is something Savvis has worked with teachers on to create this AI background piece that will provide them with feedback if they don't have a thesis statement, if they're missing some key details in their writing, if they need to work on their conventions like capitalization, punctuation, different grammatical things. So it has that AI feedback piece to provide them while they're going through their writing process, and then it will provide them with their score after they turn it in. There are a lot of formative assessments in with Savvy Writer and within Savvis My Perspectives itself. There is a great data platform that tracks their progress based on standards. So you can look at where students need extra support based on those different reading standards, writing standards, language standards. It provides a lot of that explicit instruction. There is some of that scripted pieces, those scripted pieces for teachers that are a little bit newer to the content that might need a little extra help. Differentiation is provided also in that in those side bars of the teacher manual. And the vocabulary in there is that nice rigorous level, and that's something that we see at the middle school level is the vocabulary takes a decline based on their testing scores. And so it has a good way of integrating that rigorous vocabulary and keeping up on that spiral level. Some of the drawbacks happened a lot with some of our integration to Canvas, where the assignments, all 4 assignments on the online platform became 1 assignment on Canvas. So that's something that they're working on. And then the Savvy Writer program, there were some glitches. And then the AI feedback is a work in progress. I was in on a training with Savvis for that specific piece. And they said that's something that they are consistently working on. They're fixing on getting those bugs out and those glitches. And that's something we can expect, I think they said this summer. So before we do our full rollout in August. The other things that we came to find is that students cannot resubmit the same assignment after they've been given feedback on it. It has to be reassigned to them. So it's just an extra little step in that program. And then the feedback as well. There's not a wide variety of feedback that we can provide aside from what we're doing now, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I am Madison Cohen, and I teach both English and reading at East Middle School. So I only had 1 8th grade reading lab class, and we piloted this a while ago. So I apologize if there's some areas where I'm like, man, I think that's what it was because it's been a minute. But I want to start by talking about what this program looks like in the classroom. Okay, because reading intervention, I remember when I first started teaching and they gave me a reading lab class and I was like, guys, I teach 8th grade like literature. I don't know how to teach 14-year-olds how to read. And I was scared to death. But this program is really awesome because what it does is it connects to the NWEA like MAPS program that we do for our standardized like testing, right? And so it integrates with that automatically. So I can actually like log into the testing platform through Read 180. And then what it'll do is it'll automatically group my students in my reading lab class based on their test scores. So it'll go through and it'll be like, okay, so based on their MAP score, this kid needs to be on workbook 5, this kid needs to be on code book 4, this kid needs to be on workbook 4, or whatever, okay? And then I can really meet them where they're at and do small groups with them. So that's a really big bonus. And then it has the online platform, which is like solely an online learning system for the students. And this does really high engaging, like the graphics on there are pretty actually like phenomenal. And it has spelling and vocabulary and fluency and those kinds of things at like an individualized level for them to do. Sorry, I don't like not being able to see that side. For them to do independent practice. So it's made to where you do like a 10-minute little mini lesson with your students, and then you break up into 3 different groups basically for them to do small group lessons. So they would do that individualized learning in one of the centers, and then another center would be independent reading, and then another center would be like a teacher-led center based on the workbook that they were assigned based on their testing score. There are a lot of other resources that come with it, such as differentiation, teacher resources. So it has a lot of different like graphic organizers or what they would maybe call like a reteaching resource, okay? So like if you're noticing that your students are still struggling with maybe like text structure and organization, and you want to talk more about like compare and contrast text structures or something along those lines, it has a lot of reteaching materials that you can use and go back with those kids that you've identified need it. It has a massive online library that they've actually separated into sections based on reading levels, which is really amazing, with a lot of student choice. And if you guys, we've talked a lot about like the reading rope and the science of reading and stuff, but the science of writing also, and in the writing rope, it talks a lot about integrating writing with reading and how a lot of it goes hand in hand, right? And learning like how to read to learn versus reading to learn, right? And then using writing practices to help you with your reading and to help you with your learning, okay? And so throughout each unit, there are a lot of writing opportunities, even for a reading lab class, because writing will also help them improve their reading. Drawbacks. Okay, I had a really big drawback in my reading lab class because like I said, I had one reading lab class and man, it was chaos. There were only 10 kids, but I tell you what, you would think that there were 50 in there. And so what I learned was that when I had my groups, if I was working with a group of 4 kids, the other 5 kids or 6 kids, however many you have in your class, were kind of like independent learning. They were on their own, right? And so sometimes that would leave room for behaviors because you weren't like immediately interacting with them. And so one thing that one of the other middle school teachers did that worked really well was instead of the independent reading time, they did like a class novel. So then it was like, okay, you have this very specific novel that you're going to read as a class, but you're going to read it independently or with a partner. And then we have topics to discuss instead of everybody reading a separate text. And that really helped manage some of the behaviors. One of the other drawbacks was lack of instructional materials and strategies. And I don't know if that is so much as a drawback anymore now that we've kind of dove into the system more and found more resources, because there are a lot of like instructional videos and trainings that we can use within the system. The bookshelf that has a massive amount of books in it is not accessible for their ELA class. So at the time when we were considering doing the HMH ELA, instead of Savvis, that was a big drawback. And then another drawback would be because a lot of the fluency practice is online in their independent program, they would need headphones with microphones. Some of the kids are really reluctant to reading into a microphone in front of the class for everyone to hear. So that was another drawback. Any questions?
Hey, not at this time. Thank you.
Diane, all right. The best for last, yeah. I'm Diane Wimp. I teach freshman English at Central. So our committee, our purpose statement, some things that Stevens and Central both really wanted was fostering critical thinking, being able to analyze and having a structure, but also having flexibility, knowing that kids are different and teachers are creative, that kind of thing. But we wanted to empower our educators and we wanted to maintain that guaranteed and viable curriculum. And so we were very excited about having new materials because if you didn't know, the high school hasn't gotten new reading materials or English materials for a very long time. And if you didn't know, 9th grade reads nothing but very dreary, sad, death stories. That's pretty much it. They're either buried in a I don't know, grave, or you're under a board, or you're hunted by somebody. All the stories were all very, very dark. And so we were very excited to get new materials that had literature that was more relevant and as everybody has said, very exciting. The poetry was great. The stories, the mix of fiction, nonfiction, and included anchor texts that really helped as a writing assignment. There was an anchor text that matched that type of writing, whether it was argumentative or informational. So the Savvis My Perspectives for us, it's very repetitive of what everybody is saying. So for the high school level, the usability and story content was a big one. Some just really great relevant stories and variety, which was great because we've kind of went from units that were around like short stories, narrative writing. With these units, you cycle through all the things 5 times. And so I think it'll be great for our high schoolers. The depth of the material was excellent. There's lots of different formats. We in 9th grade chose, we didn't, there was the Canvas part, but we just worked off their platform because we found it was easier and we're using EBG grading. So that just worked for us. So that was great. We there were a lot of close read and comprehension checks throughout, which I think our kids need. They're reading such short amounts of text, so support for reading longer texts, and lots of opportunities for speaking and discussing the stories. Definitely loved the lesson planning. There was a place in the lesson planning where you could build a to-do list basically. So when our team of 4 sat down, our techie, she would sit there and we'd all agree, yeah, we want to use this. And she'd drop it into this like, I don't know, like a memory box, whatever. And then all of us could access our lesson plan and what we were going to use, which assessments, which extra materials, the Hook and Inspire videos, and it was all right there for us. So it made lesson planning together with a team really great. So that was a definite benefit. And then some extension opportunities for kids who were done early, kids who needed challenges, they were all there for us. The editability of the materials was nice because like we did this evidence log that was great. And it was just a basic grid, but it have a anchor question. Well, if we were doing something a little different or we needed to tweak the question, it was editable for us. Or if we decided these were the 3 stories, we could change the evidence log format and then our kids had that electronic, or we could print it and give it to them in paper. The IT department for Savvis was very responsive. Anytime we had an issue and we talked to them, they were really on it. And as other people have mentioned, the Savvy Writer, they're working on improving that aspect. So we know that's a work in progress, but we know that teachers are working with the designers, not just tech people.
So assigning in Canvas was some of the bumps for people who really wanted to do all the work in Canvas. They struggled a little bit with that, but Savvis was working on it. One of the things that came up was our devices struggling with the amount of memory for it. I think it depended on if you were trying to use both platforms, Canvas with Savvis, or if you were just jumping into the Savvis platform. So that kind of depended. And then that was one thing that was a downfall for people who were trying to do it, teachers who were really trying to just use Canvas for it, trying to get it to full screen in Canvas. But when we met with the tech people, they took all of our suggestions. So we felt like they were working on all those things. So just really excited for high school materials that are new and great stories and relevant. This is not changed. Oh, there it is. Oh, is that you? Did I go on? Oh, where is it? Oh, I just like pushed so many buttons.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay,
I
ILIT
got
20.
this.
So I teach reading at Central. Right now, our ELA-R classes are a combination of English and reading. So we still get, these kids still get an English credit, but they're students who did not get to 1,000 Lexile in middle school. So they get extra reading support. And we have a teacher and a special ed teacher in there with us co-teaching. And so we're able to give kids extra support and that kind of thing. So for the high school, the program that we piloted was the ILIT 20. And it was very similar to what Madison described. So basically it's a program where if you are, so in our case, we would use it in our resource room or in a reading arc, which I have this semester, where you're focusing specifically on reading skills. And so it's very similar to what she described. It's online. They have a massive library by level. They work on grammar things, writing things, a lot of your word work. So all the phonics work we were talking about for K2, I know for a fact from my reading art class that we have high schoolers who aren't at 1,000, they either have a gap in vocabulary or they have a gap in decoding. And so we know that. And so, so this program allows them to work on those things and it takes them through based off of how they assess. So lots of opportunities for writing in it and also lots of opportunities to read. One of the drawbacks is it made you choose the setting, like to let kids automatically go to the next lesson, or they all had to wait for you, like they had to wait for each other to finish the lesson. I don't know how to explain it. That's probably not a good explanation. But anyway, so some of those things you had to choose at the beginning, and we asked for a little more flexibility with that. Because some kids were like, I want to go forward and just, you know, they were ready to run to the next lesson. And then other students, they were like pulling teeth to get them to do one lesson and they needed more instruction with a teacher. So that was just one drawback. And then they have a class view that's not very user-friendly, but then the interface that the kids use and the teacher interface was really decent. So there is data in there and it gives you kids Lexile, it gives them, you know, it has a pre and a post test. So that's ILIT 20.
Can I just?
Yes, question.
Okay, so ILIT and then you're Madison. Okay. You're doing HMA or your program or the, so we're purchasing HMA and ILIT.
So like the intervention program for middle school that we chose was the HMH.
Yes.
And ILIT is through Savvis.
Oh, okay, so HMA is the only one that's
Different.
and that is a recovery
Yeah, so
program.
it's an intervention program for our students that are in lab classes, or and I think our art classes are also gonna use it.
They haven't decided yet.
They haven't decided yet.
And also, so really designed as a tier 2 intervention, but also available for our SPED teachers and for kids on IEPs. So that's another thing where to help fill some of those gaps, because high school teachers really haven't, I was elementary for 26 years, so I'm in a really different boat, but high school teachers aren't trained in how to teach decoding and how to teach letter sounds and all of that. So this gives them a way to figure out where their gaps are and let them work through it. And then so while the teachers support them. So that's why we adopted this one, ILET 20 for the high school. Okay, other questions?
And that'll be used at the Alternative Academy as well, both of those? Okay, thanks. Sorry, I kind of missed that transition.
That's okay. Anyone else?
Like it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for having us.
Is that it?
That's all we have.
That's all.
Yeah, that's really all we have. I think the really big thing to notice is all three separate committees picked the same resource. It creates kind of some issues on our end for planning because I told you we have 9 trainers coming. Well, that's all of their trainers. So we've had to kind of work out logistics between our JK 5 and our 6 through 12 trainers to make sure that they're all trained appropriately. So we're gonna have some different, very varied ways of how they're gonna get trained. But that's our problem. It's a great problem to have. I mean, we could have worse. Thank you.
The training, so like in the first year, is there does Savvis send out people periodically? Is it just online support or what does it look like? Cause I know in my field of work, the first year you have a new electronic charting system where you run into these bumps and you go, I don't want to be by myself.
So it all depends on what we want to pay for. And that's the real honest admission of it. We have to decide what we want to use from our Title IIA funds in order to apply to that. So it's going to depend on, we're paying right now for the initial training for all the teachers. And because that's face to face and we knew that that would be really important to have hands-on with those materials with a trainer, we knew that was worth the expense.
Ms. Rafferty.
So I'm not sure who would have the answer to this. Is this the training, would this be something where our literacy coaches would come in?
Yep, the literacy are also going to it and they got to pick the grade level that they were trained with. It's really all JK through 5 people will be out of their buildings the morning of our next PD day. It's going to be everybody.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that education. Righty.
Yes.
Sorry for the lateness. All right, at this time, we have no conflict of interest. I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed agreements and MOUs.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agreements and MOUs. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Is there any consent agenda item a board member would like to pull? Seeing none, I will take what am I taking?
A motion.
Move to approve.
I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries. All right, Rapid City Area School legislative platforms. I will entertain a motion to approve the legislative platforms.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the legislative platforms. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of approving the legislative platform signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, please say no. That motion carries. All right, any questions about the Central High School Teen Science Cafe grant fact sheet? All right, no questions, no comments from anybody. All right, at this time we'll have committee reports. Any committee reports? Oh, Ms. Clapham.
Pretty briefly, the update for outreach is that we will not have an outreach meeting this month between Teacher of the Year and the listening sessions and all the other things going on. We're really active in the community and we don't feel like having another meeting is necessary for this month, so we will catch up on that next month. And we did just for the boards, well, everybody's rule, due to schedule and Dr. Thompson's illness, we did not have a leadership meeting this week, so you won't see leadership notes coming out for this week. So just she'll send out her weekend notes and weekly notes for that. So you're not missing it. They just didn't actually exist because the meeting didn't happen. And the other update is so the ASBSD Board of Directors did meet yesterday. We met via Zoom, and the main things there's several superintendents either retiring or moving districts right now, so there's a lot of movement happening between that Phillip, Del Rapids, Pierre, Mobridge, all of them are either losing or getting a new superintendent, so there's a lot of movement and search going on there right now. And several districts have gotten literacy grants. Brandon Valley hosted the One Acts this year. And main things, the Associated School Boards is very financially stable at the moment. Our leadership did go to Washington, DC. They have an advocacy weekend and they talked about an iCivics program that really talked about civil discourse and that we're talking about possibly looking at some continuing ed that could be used for boards and how boards interact and how just how leadership we can show to our students, how that civic duty and civil interaction works. And one update, we looked at the legislative position on the SGO, which is a scholarship granting organization, and ASBSD is actually working with the state right now to talk about what that language should look like, because there's going to have to be what the rules look like. And so the NSBA is working on a national level to what those rules and wording actually look like so that public schools would be able to be included in the tax credits that were in the Big Beautiful Bill. So NSBA is working very hard to make sure that public schools do not get cut out of that conversation and that the rules are explicit as to how that would apply to public schools. And other than that, it was really about it. They talked, and board engagement will come, but every April after the legislative session's over, they have those webinars and online groups that we can participate in. And this year there's going to be one about legislative issues, kind of a summary of the legislative session, community partnerships, AI, and celebrating success. So you'll start to see those in your emails. That will be coming out. So that is pretty much what came out of ASBSD, and that's the only real committee report I have.
Okay, Mrs. Rafferty.
So my committee is the Rapid City Public School Foundation. So our foundation has awarded $19,550 in grants, and that's 8 grants in the year of 2025 and 2026. In addition to the grants program, Rapid City Public School Foundation will host the 26th Annual Evening of Excellence on Tuesday, April 14th. Do you want me to repeat that?
It should be in our calendar.
Okay. So we will be
Thanks to Sheila.
celebrating the outstanding achievement of the top 5% of students from Central and Stevens High School. Also, the foundation will continue its work in celebrating staff. Last week, the foundation gave out over 300 awards. We have staff who have worked in our district for over 30 years. Altogether, they have 1,332 years of experience of teaching. And as we know, Katie Swank is our Teacher of the Year from Meadowbrook Elementary School. So, and that's it.
Okay, anything else?
I have a couple of committee reports. I'm going to piggyback off of Jamie's for ASBSD for legislative. We all got on our agenda tonight the bills and positions that we discussed last week. We're meeting weekly to kind of go over those, so you should know that the ones that make their way onto our agenda have been vetted by the legislative committee and discussed by us, and pros and cons are weighed. As Jamie said, we're kind of there's a couple bills that we know we need to watch. 1168, 1306 is one that's kind of looks like it's pretty much a voucher bill with that big, beautiful bill. But there might be ways to improve it. So we're gonna keep an eye on that and talk to all the other groups and see how we could potentially, make that a bill that also benefits public school students, that there's an avenue to benefit public school students on that. So we'll meet again tomorrow. We will again be, putting on the agenda any updates. We'll let you know if there's any opportunity, if a committee's meeting and they really need to just have a line. I have talked to more legislators this year than I have in previous years, and without exception, they say it's pretty meaningful to have another elected official reach out and say, I want you to know, I do schools full time. This is how I feel about this job or about this bill. They weigh it a little more heavily. So you have some weight, and hopefully, especially as these bigger issue ones come up, hopefully we can all reach out and make some noise. Okay, so that's legislative. Facilities, we learned that Rapid City Alternative Academy had about $213,000 in roof damage. And then another big windstorm caused damage to the RCAA Annex gym. So that'll be another 40,000. Hence my question about how do we prepare for wind out at Rapid Valley Elementary as they do that. At Grandview, the HVAC is coming in slightly over budget. They're starting that construction this spring, or that project this spring, and they hopefully Grandview will have AC by September or October. So maybe not the hottest days in the school year, but they're getting it. Stevens High School has some work that's going to be done, and the bids came in under budget. Great news. They're going to take out some of the lockers in the freshman wing. If any of you have been in the freshman wing, you know that there are a lot of lockers that are not used by students. Nobody really, very, very few students actually use a locker at Stevens and so but the lockers are kind of problematic because they're places that you can't really monitor as easily. So they're gonna kind of redesign that. They're gonna put some tables and chairs so students who are there have a place to sit and congregate, but in a more visible and actually just like more comfortable way. They're going to expand the fine arts vestibule and update it. And then I think there's going to be more storage or a storage kind of room for instruments in the fine arts wing. This project will start this spring and will be mostly complete by the time school starts. We talked a little bit about secure entrances. Hold on. We are moving forward with secure entrances at General Beetle, Meadowbrook, Pinedale, North Middle School, and Knollwood, kinda. Knollwood is getting some security upgrades, but they need all their front glass replaced to make it secure, and that won't be fully done on this round. So that's good. These projects are gonna go out. I think we're gonna get bids on these tomorrow, and they will all be done by the start of the next school year. The good news is after these are done, we will have 8 schools left that need secure entrances. Those 8 are probably the harder schools to address, but we're whittling down and on these not secure entrances and making our kids safer. So we should feel good about that too as we move forward and talk about a bond that this is what we're doing with our capital outlay. And I should say 8, but once we get Rapid Valley done, then it'll be 7. Rapid Valley will break ground on April 20th. We discussed that the weapons detection systems are going to be complicated to get into place and to be used effectively. And actually, they're going to take some building modifications, moving power, moving a security desk, changing the entrance that kids come into at Central. I'm not sure exactly what this means. I just wanted you all to be aware of it. It's not just setting up a weapons detection system and it's super easy. It sounded complicated and for me personally, as a committee member, as I hear all the challenges that we have, you know, would that money be better spent with video cameras like we heard tonight or security systems? I don't know, but it is not going to be easy. We haven't, okay, so then we talked briefly about South Park Elementary in the master plan and what the timeline should be for that. And no real decisions were made, but good conversation on that. Okay, sorry guys, this is the last one, finance, and this one will be short because we had a finance committee meeting, but a lot of finance committee right now is waiting for the legislature to tell us what they're doing and how we can move forward. We do have a little leapfrogging issue coming up. And you know, as Coy explained to us, and I think he can tell you more about this, basically we have a salary schedule. And no, we have a placement grid. We have a placement grid. And as long as we have a placement grid, we are going to periodically run into leapfrogging issues. So we are gonna, that is something that we are gonna have to plan for when we go into negotiations, just to be very upfront about what are, what we might see and what are some solutions that we could potentially propose so that we don't incentivize teachers to leave the district for a year so that they can come back at a higher pay. We don't want to do that.
Coy, are we talking about dozens or millions of people involved, or is it just?
It's pretty limited at this point, Walt. Especially in the bigger groups, like for example, the RCA group, it's very limited. And I think Christine said it really well. Because we have a placement grid, it presents challenges in terms of how that moves. And at times, if the increase in compensation is over or under what's happening within those starting areas of that grid, it can create challenges. Good news is it's fairly limited and certainly something that we can address through that process. I think Christine makes a great point that as we move into the future, and of course, all of this is resource dependent, that those are issues we want to keep our eye on and hopefully move closer to a system that will address that in a sustainable way and that we can move away from sort of this year-to-year approach, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Coy.
Yes, sir.
We, you know, threw out some numbers about what different amount of increase would cost us and how we would fund that with reserves and whatever the legislature gets. I think at this point, we just have to meet again in a couple weeks and see what's going on. And then I wanted to let the board know that our HR department is kind of trying to come up with a salary placement schedule for DDL because that's been a little arbitrary, kind of categorizing those positions. How many people do you supervise, or how many direct reports do you have? How much funding do you have? How many, you know, like what are the level of responsibility? What's the level of education you need for this position versus another? So that it's not all arbitrary and you know, we've all been through this where you're on the board and you really appreciate somebody and the work they're doing, but you don't really know how to keep things equitable. And so they're going to work on that for us, so, or for the district. I think that's all I have. I wanted to let you all know or remind people that the PAC is meeting tomorrow night. So that'll be an update at the next meeting.
Hey,
Where is the PAC meeting tomorrow?
South Canyon.
Okay, anything else? I'm on a list of committees and don't speak that much about them because you all get leadership notes at the leadership committee. Coy does an excellent job at the finance committee, so usually what we hear in more detail, you hear generally. Policy committee, you get those things that we've worked on and approved on the agenda, so you see those policies that come forth. I'm new to the Performing Arts committee, and they are working on their strategic plan. It's an all-day event on March 13th. It's a Friday. I'm on the Black Hills Special Services Co-op, and we obviously continue to have numerous different partnerships all over the district and are going well, and they seem happy with us and we're happy with them, so that continues. And as Christine says, I hadn't attended, I think I missed a couple of the PAC committee member meetings because it was my fault that they weren't on my calendar, but I'll be at the one on tomorrow. Okay, any other committee reports? All right, any others?
I just have a question. I should know the answer to this, but I don't. The legislative bills and the positions that we have on those, who decides what we oppose and what we support? I don't know where that comes from.
The legislative committee.
The legislative committee, okay.
And just for more clarity, who's on that committee? I don't, Christine, Ms. Rafferty, and Katie?
Nope, just me.
Oh, Ms. Clapham, those three.
And I do think any board member who has input on a bill or wants to reach out to the committee, you should.
And Donna, when they are only making suggestions to the board, so when they come on the agenda, if you have an opinion or question or disagree with a position they've taken, that is the discussion that we'll have at that time. And then as a group, we'll decide whether we agree to oppose it or agree or disagree. That happens at that point. Did you have a comment, Mr. Smart?
Who's on the legislative committee on the staff side? Is it just our lobbying group or is it just you three?
We have Coy and Dr. Thompson.
Okay.
And then our lobbyist, he's in constant communication with him. Sometimes he's there via Zoom, sometimes they're not, depending on how things are going.
And then Sheila is there.
I saw some movement in some bills today. Was one of those part of our,
Quite testified.
part of what we were opposing or supporting?
Yeah. Yeah, so there was a lot of movement. Oh, excuse me. The HB 1082, which is the student nutrition bill, moved through the House Appropriations Committee and on to appropriations, the General Appropriations Committee, which I'm told is a good thing by the sponsor. So got to testify on that. I thought that the proponent testimony was great. Lots of really great speakers. That's one in particular that we've watched and supported over multiple years. So great to see that moving forward, and I think has a real shot of clearing the finish line. SB 87, which was a bill that on the surface seemed very simple. It was a defining non-public schools bill, but there was a tremendous amount of concern around some of the unanswered questions in that bill and how that impacted public schools in particular. I had testified on that last week, I believe. It did make it out of the Senate committee, but died today, got killed today. So that was a positive outcome. There's still just a tremendous amount of movement, especially on the property tax side of things. There's still so many bills moving around and being amended and changed and moving and jockeying for position. So hoping that Mr. Nelson is going to be able to join our committee meeting tomorrow if he is available. He's obviously constantly running around trying to navigate some of those processes, but Really am very interested in if there are any particular front runners that he sees right now in terms of a bill, property tax relief bill passing and what that is and how it would impact. So I think that's really the most unclear portion of things right now, Walt.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
It's
you.
been wild, yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, any other?
Oh, am I still on other? Are we on
Well,
other? Yeah.
I had moved on to other, but we kind of slid back into committee, but we're on other.
President Carr?
We're on anything. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just a quick other to mention, Bobby texted me this and I forgot to mention it. That there is a, Bobby, will you say it so I don't butcher it?
Show the community out there, the mock-ups and everything you saw from Jane tonight. So that way, the community can come in and see them. It's 4:30 to 6 on.
Do you think we could get a calendar invite for that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have one.
It's already on
Yeah,
there.
we have one.
I haven't gone that far ahead in the week.
Just tomorrow. I know what's happening tomorrow.
Okay, now we're on others
Okay.
officially.
I'm raising my hand for that.
Oh, Ms. Clavan.
Okay, I know we're all tired and I'll try to get us out of quick. Just want to say thank you to Christine, Dr. Thompson, Elsa, Christine's daughter, and our two principals, Principal Keeney and Principal Gross, who went down to Pier for Public Ed Day. I thought it was really good energy. There were a ton of students there. There were a ton of different districts there, and we really did get a chance. I talked to some reps from Winter, and so it was nice to be seen by people outside of our area. I was able to testify. The bill did go through committee anyway, but I did at least feel like we were there and able to have our say. So I feel really positive about our presence and the impact that people are getting from Rapid City being around and knowing that we are advocating for public education. So grateful for that. And Future Raider Day was on February 7th, and that was just a really cool event to get all the feeder schools together. And I hear that Central might be trying to do something similar, which I think is really cool. Okay, let's say I knew there were, and so I think it's really neat to see the younger kids and building that camaraderie as they grow up through the district. So that was a lot of fun. And I want to say Teacher of the Year. I just want to say the Public School Foundation. I thought it was awesome that we did a Bus Driver of the Year and Support Person of the Year. I think it's great the more people we can recognize and celebrate. And it was really awesome to see that the support person went from custodians to secretaries to registrars, like just the really broad variety of people that are helping our students and doing a great job helping our students. And lastly, it's always hard from this dais. I just know that there is a lot of community grief again right now recently, and just community know that we hurt with you, and that it's been beautiful to see the community unite through that grief. It's always unfortunate, but we are grateful that the community seems to be leaning on each other and supporting each other in that time. So that's what I know.
All right, anybody else? Going once, twice? It's too late. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Clapham, seconded by Swan. I'm sure there's not any discussion needed. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.